Hello, everyone. It is Monday, May 20th, and I will call the meeting to order and call the roll. Commissioner Hurst.
Present.
Commissioner Sani.
Present.
Commissioner Williams. I'm gonna check online. Okay, I do not see her present. Commissioner Galvin.
Present.
Commissioner Anderson is me, and I am present. Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
Present.
I think you might have to vote. Okay, great. And Commissioner Pinckney.
I do not see her.
I do not see her present. We have 5 members of our commission present, so we have quorum. First order of business is to approve our agenda. Our agenda has been posted on our website, anc5f.com. I will turn to the commissioners to see if there are any additions or amendments. Any? Do not see any. There were some late notice items. First is the QFR approval, which will be done during the officer report section by Commissioner Hurst, and also during Mr. Anthony Black's section, we will have a presentation on the mayor's budget from Director Crow. So those are 2 amendments from my end. Any objections?
I move that we adopt the agenda as amended and presented by the chair.
Great.
Second.
Awesome. With no objections, that motion passes. So the first order of business is the approval of minutes of the April 15th regular meeting. I will turn to Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
I distributed these minutes some weeks ago, and they are shorter than I think my predecessor did. Just no disrespect to him, but boiling it down to basically the business that's was undertaken. Got no corrections or adjustments or amendments to any of them. So I assume they're good, but I'll pause here in case anybody does have an amendment.
Any amendments?
Seeing none, Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the minutes as submitted.
So any objections?
Second.
Great, excellent. Any objections? With no objections, this motion passes. Next order of business is officer reports and commissioner announcements. I'll turn to officers first. Would any of officers like to make an announcement or report?
I do have a report.
Great. Treasurer, please go proceed.
All right, we'll start with the treasurer's report. I'm going to start with the presenting of the QFR, and it also can second as this month's Treasury report, because things have not changed and we've had no new expenditures since this QFR. Last year, we ended with a balance of $17,811.67. For your notes, we got 3 allotments thus far, which have totaled a total of $14,108.91, giving us a grand total of $31,920.58, of which we have spent $66.06. And our QFR shows the categories that was spent in, leaving us an ending balance of $31,854.52. So it is a fairly low-key QFR in that we have not made a great deal of expenditures, and all the money is still there and accounted for. I do want to make a quick announcement. As DC public school teachers, we are still campaigning and trying to put out the word that we would love to have a past teacher contract, which has expired at the beginning of this year, and we are still pushing and trying and asking for a fair teacher contract, and that we can overcome some of the small hurdles that need to get through with negotiation. So I would ask that any city leader with any good clout help to push that one forward so that we can make some progress. I do have one last personal announcement, which is that I am hoping to pass the baton of 5F01's ANC commissioner to some other resident in 5F01 who would like to carry us forward. I have a huge amount of respect for every other commissioner who is both at the table, and even those who can't be present, they're really great people to work with, and they're able to get things done in your community. So if somebody wants to help become a really great ANC commissioner on a team that you can really work with, I would be happy to talk with them and tell them why it's a great thing and why I've enjoyed the year and a half that I've done it so far, and why there's still more progress to do. So.
Great, thank you so much, Treasurer and Commissioner Hurst. Let's go back to the QFR. Just wanted to turn to commissioners to see if there are any questions, comments on the QFR.
Good question. Yes.
Great, amazing. Do you believe we have to approve the QFR? Is that
Open
right?
Meeting, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah, okay, great. So I'm gonna take a moment to move to approve the QFR. Does anyone have any seconds?
Second.
Great. Just going to see if there are any objections. Any objections on approving this QFR? With none noted, the approval passes. Great.
Thank you.
Any other officers wishing to make a report? Great, I will turn to all commissioners to make additional announcements. Commissioner Sani?
Yeah, I've received a lot of messages about the photos from social media about the parking on 8th Street Northeast last night. I'm aware of it. I'm working with various city agencies to see what's there, and I'll also be working with the engaging the property owners to discuss appropriate uses of the 8th Street Northeast section of the MBT. But I just want to focus on that.
Great. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Galvin.
Yeah, thanks. A couple notes. I had a community meeting right before, was it about a couple weeks ago, about the Emery House with DPW and some other folks from the community and MPD. There's been a lot of concerns in Emery at nearby Emery House and Harry Thomas Way about public drinking and smoking and, you know, just some public disturbances and trash in that area. And so there was a good discussion that we had and some follow-ups with that community. And so we're still working through, you know, not just enforcement, but education about some of the laws and things that are happening there. So more to follow. I still need to engage with the Emery House, and I recognize that that's not necessarily in my single member district, but I have had people in my area talk about how they can't even use Harry Thomas Rec Center anymore because of the drug dealing and public drinking that is there that has made people feel uncomfortable, some sexual harassment as well. So just a note, I hope to send something around so if other people are aware of that, I know that's hit the Eckington Google groups and a few others. On another note, some good news. I love the trees and when trees get planted, and so finally we got some additional trees planted on 4th Street, which after several years of DC water doing that work around there to try to really get some beautification in that area, which has been exciting. There is making good progress on 3rd Street at the 3rd and Rhode Island. And if I'm not mistaken, they are expecting to be done at the end of June. So exciting to see that finally come to fruition. So for that, oh, and I just want to give a big shout out to the Alcohol Licensing Committee for all of their hard work, and Commissioner Bishop Henchman in my absence, since my wife went into labor a little earlier than expected, about a month early, and everything is well, but I have not been as responsive as usual over the past 2 weeks. So I appreciate everyone's patience with me as I get a new schedule in. So thank you so much. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Galvin. One announcement from my end, as we talked about last meeting, there was unfortunately a big fire that affected some community members in Eckington, in ANC 5F05. I know that city agencies responded, but and that there are a lot of like insurance things that are covering, but there is a GoFundMe that is there to kind of help cover the gaps. Some families did lose everything. So just wanted to amplify that community-led effort. I'll put the link in the chat. It's not something that the ANC is organizing, but I did want to amplify that effort since there were a lot of families that were affected in that building. So I'll put that link in the chat now. Any other commissioners wanting to make an announcement? Okay. Great. We will move on to the next order of business, which is announcements of representatives from elected officials. So first I will go to Mr. Anthony Black's section, and he is yielding his time to Director Crow to give a presentation on the mayor's budget. So the time is yours, 10 minutes.
Great. Before I get started, I want to shout out the crossing guard for my daughter's school. I see you in the audience. Thank you for being here.
I'm going to share the presentation.
And this is, an auspicious occasion because typically we don't have someone who shares it. I just kind of speak to the investments in the ward. And I happen to be a Ward 5 resident, so very excited to talk about the investments that the mayor has put in this budget. There's a lot of conversation about this budget cycle being one of shared sacrifice because things are tight. I'm sure you've heard about the WMATA fiscal cliff. Some of the revenue projections are not what they have been in past years. And so some choices had to be made about programming. The mayor has been able to retain nearly all aspects of programming, but just reduced funding in certain areas. In Ward 5, however, there have been nearly $1 billion in specific investments in Ward 5, including $281 million to renovate several public schools, $45 million to renovate community and recreation centers, additional $17 million for technical training. And then there are sort of citywide investments in maintaining sidewalks, streets, doing evaluations of how we're using bike lanes, where we're putting things like speed humps, as you're interested in, and making sure that those investments are felt in Ward 5.
Excuse me, they put money towards the safety act for the speed humps because she's out here every day. She can tell you how people in this area speed. And that's what my fight was, to get the speed humps in this area, the safety for everyone.
Great.
And if the money going towards building more safety, and these people are not caring about stopping the stop sign. They speed every day. We see this in the city every day. They run through red light. They run through stop signs, especially in this area where she's crossing. I thank God. First of all, I give God the glory for this meeting. I thank God for her to being out here to take care and watch and take care of us. But God is taking care of everyone. My concern is for the safety and the service for everyone.
That's right. And I'm going to get to that in just a moment too,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
you'll have some time on the floor to present your questions.
Thank
but
you. I appreciate that.
this is a holistic citywide view too, right? We are concerned specifically here today with Ward 5, but that's an issue that we're seeing in other parts of the city too.
Yes,
and so part of the budget is dedicated to safety concerns like that. In addition, for Ward 5, they are spending $64 million to renovate the men's shelter on New York Avenue, as well as another $3.5 million for the Blair men's shelter. And then DYRS. So Ward 5 is unique in that it's a mix of residential, commercial. There are several city agencies here. And so the investments in this budget really show a dedication to the ward. And with that, I'll yield my time to questions from folks online or in the audience.
Thank you. I appreciate it, ma'am. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we'll open up the floor. If anyone has any questions pertaining specifically to what's been presented on the budget, we'll have some time for public comment after this section of the agenda. But if anyone would like to ask questions specifically on the presentation that's been made on the budget, the floor is open.
In reference to the men's shelter, because I have worked with organizations with the New York shelter, because that used to be a halfway house and then they turned it into a shelter. So have they put out a plan as far as how they're going to renovate it? What is the process? What are they doing?
Just to repeat the question for people online, the question was regarding the plans for the men's shelter, right?
So I don't know the specific step that they're at. I know for a building that large, because it is going to be extensive construction, they will absolutely have to share the plan. They will have to apply for permits. They will have to make certain aspects of that work public. There's sort of requirements for neighborhoods. If you're going to build next to a particular thing, you have to do neighborhood notifications. And so for a project that large, you should expect all those things.
And it's, have they given a project of when they're gonna start the process?
Not yet, not that I know of. So this budget is for 25. And so a lot of agencies, I know for my agency, so I run the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection. And for my agency, we typically will start planning before we get the funding, but until it's been through the mayor's process and the council process, that money is not guaranteed. So it might change before that time. And so you can expect that once every agency has their final budget, the things that they'll be able to do will be made public. So thank you for the question.
I also want to, if anyone online would like to ask a question, please use the raise your hand feature and we'd be happy to recognize you. Commissioner Hurst.
Could I ask a little bit about the trail from Maryland Avenue entrance to the National Arboretum? When is the future bridge connecting the Arboretum to the Anacostia River Trail coming? Or is that depends on
Again,
funding?
So I actually don't know if anyone from DDOT is on
Okay.
or
Might be
DOE. I don't know. I
So.
can't tell who the
I don't
audience
believe
is.
so.
So when I'm virtual and not in person, I can see who has attended the call. The past 3 calls, they have arranged like someone from DDOT because there's always interest in the public safety aspect.
Yeah.
And so for our part, like part of what the city is responsible for is when there's a project like that that is impacting communities and neighbors, is that there is supposed to be a public sort of timeline for the project. So my husband is on the board of the Blair Road Community Garden. And when they were doing work around that area, they communicated with all the members of the garden, what the timeline was, when it was going to start. And so you should expect no less for this project.
I get that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I should just like start deferring.
Yeah.
Mr. Black here, like send all questions.
Yeah, absolutely. He usually takes notes and then he
Yeah.
reports back next meeting, so it's
Whatever your
great.
name is, email, it's all.
Anthony keeps his attention.
All right, great. Any other questions from anyone?
Okay, great. Thank
All
you
right,
for
well,
your time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us in person. All
Of course. Do
right.
you mind if I exit?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Have a wonderful
you.
evening. Okay. Any other announcements from you, Mr. Black, before we move on? All right, thank you so much. All right, so the next item on the agenda is a presentation from Councilmember Parker's office. I do believe I saw Sam online, so we will give us a moment and we will unmute you. All right, Sam, you should have the ability to unmute and share your screen.
Hey everyone. Amazing. Well, thank you for having me. Yes, hello, I'm Sam Bonner. I work for Councilmember Zachary Parker's office and I serve the ANC's 5E and 5F. I would love to share my screen if that's possible to do. It is. Okay, great. Let me know if this works for everyone. Can you see this?
Yeah, it appears to be like portrait. I don't know if you can like rotate
Oh,
your screen.
I'm gonna flip it now. Does that work?
Yes.
Yeah, better.
Okay, great. So yeah, as always, encourage folks to go sign up for the newsletter or read the current one at ward5.us.
If we could see our image, I don't know if there's a way, oh, maybe we
No,
can hide.
it's
Okay.
It's on the
got it.
side.
Yeah, if you can hide us anyway, great, awesome,
All
perfect.
right,
Yep.
perfect. So encourage y'all to go to ward5.us/news. That is where a lot of this comes from. That is a way to get it every week on Friday. What's the council members been up to? More in depth on budget and legislative updates, programs that you can be applying for, as well as events in the community. The council members also started a podcast called the Ward 5 Wave, which you can listen to at ward5.us/podcast. So I'm going to talk a little bit about budget as well. Last week, this is actually a presentation from last week, the council marked up the each committee. So there's a whole big process. So what the mayor proposed their budget, as Director Crow just shared. And that was after a round of budget hearings where everyone can come and share about a different agency or different agencies. Then there was another set after the mayor's proposal. And then there's been these kind of final, each committee head, which the council member is not yet a committee chair, though hopefully next year he will be. That's generally how it works in the council these days. Your first 2 years, you don't have it. But all the committee chairs have a bunch of agencies within their purview. They kind of look at the different testimony and move things around within it, sometimes trade stuff, money between, to try and come up with what they think is the best budget for their agencies. Then the committees mark them up and pass them. And now it's in the kind of final stages. So last week there was the budget work session where it was an all-day thing where all the council members got in a room and kind of presented about their committee markups, debated and asked questions about different pieces of where the council members and the chairs kind of landed on things. And then now there's kind of a quiet period of about a week or a week and a half where there's conversations between the council members. I hear a lot, but I don't have a lot of concrete to offer. I think even a lot of council members don't know precisely what's going to happen, right? It's a lot of, we know everyone's tried their best to make the best committee, package, but now there's still time to kind of move between it. So the big thing is the chairman is kind of working on his proposal to bring together all the different committees' proposals and make a decision on how the kind of full budget the council is going to debate and vote on will be. He often releases it the day before the budget vote, so that's what we're anticipating. So that will probably be, I believe, May 28th, which is a week from tomorrow. Then it'll be a mad scramble because the first vote is next Wednesday, so a week from Wednesday. So just that's a kind of some background. As you see here, the council member has really, has heard from you about a lot of different budget priorities. It is a little late at this point to try and bring in a new priority because there's so many that have been debated, but I'm happy to hear things obviously in the Q&A and lift them up as best I can. I know the council member has made clear that he really wants to champion and try and get a full-throated child tax credit, which the federal version eliminated or cut child poverty in half, and then it went back up when it expired. So he wants a local version of that. And he also wants to reverse a number of cuts to critical programs. And he said that the Early Childhood Educator Pay Equity Program Fund, which the mayor had fully cut, was a non-negotiable for him. So he is fighting to make sure that that gets fully funded. He's also mentioned, as Director Crow said, there is a tighter budget season. Our revenues did not grow as fast as was thought. And, with inflation, a lot of the costs have gone up. But, with shared sacrifice, we have to be asking everyone to pitch in. And I know that he's floated different ideas, and I know there's a lot of stuff on the table, but I don't know what will end up being. But of asking the wealthiest among us and the institutions that have extra to offer shared sacrifice themselves, so that we can reverse some of these critical cuts to so many human services and basic, things that cover basic needs for so many of our neighbors. So I'll move on to the next thing, which is he wrote a letter to his colleagues about the LGBTQ plus community in DC and how he wants to make the Office of LGBTQ Affairs standalone and independent, so it has greater transparency and accountability ahead of World Pride next year, which we're hosting. He also asked to invest money in an LGBTQ plus community center and recurring operating funds. as well as dedicated housing vouchers for that community, where we know young LGBTQ plus folks are often the most vulnerable and very disproportionately likely to be homeless or facing homelessness. So as we said before, there's a podcast about it, ward5.us/podcast. If you want to hear that or previous episodes, he's had the chairman, Robert White, and others on them. The council member introduced new legislation recently to create a task force about improving our mathematics education in the city. He also introduced one recently, which is not in this presentation, about called Transparency is Accountability, about the FOIA process, the Freedom of Information Act, and making clear that less things should be protected and that the government should be more transparent. There's new bus stations at a number of Ward 5 metro stations. And the WMATA released a couple weeks ago the Better Bus Network redesign. So I encourage you all to go there and check it out. You know, a lot of the things we asked for from the Better Bus Network were funded, although not all of them, or not funded, I should say, put in their redesign. And then I guess this is not relevant to ANC 5F. So with that, I will end the presentation and open it up to questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you, Mr. Bonner. I'll open it up first to questions from commissioners and then questions from the public. Any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Bishop-Henchman?
Hi, Sam. Thanks for joining us, as always. And thank you for the overview of what's been a very busy month. I had a question first on the Better Bus stuff, and then on the on Quincy Lane. So I know we're still exchanging emails on that. On the Better Bus, wonder if you know offhand kind of how people can provide input into the plan, because it's WMATA, which is government, but it's not DC government, so it's kind of separate from the usual channels to provide input. And then if there's anything in particular that the council member is still pushing for in the plan. I know it can always be better, and especially since it's a service neutral plan. So for every bus they're adding somewhere, they're having to take one away somewhere, and that makes it hard. And then the second question was on Quincy Lane. We're still having a lot of desire by the residents to have more engagement with the both the developers and with the agencies to address traffic and parking and safety issues there. And Council Member's Office has always been a good partner, but I just wanted to see if you'd be open to helping us continue to facilitate those discussions and make some progress on some of those things. I know the answer is yes, but I'm going to give you a chance to say yes or no on that. But I'll stop. Let you answer.
Yeah, I mean, trying to decide which one to start with. So with Quincy Lane, I know we've engaged on it before, and I know the Eckington Civic had kind of asked us to let them lead, and I've offered to support. I don't have strong contacts at JBG, but I'm fairly sure that it's technically private property, so it is entirely up to them. I don't think the city can make that decision. If there's ways we can be helpful in terms of convening a meeting or just attending a meeting that's convened, happy to have those conversations.
That's the main thing, and I'll be in touch. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to run it by my team to make sure they're okay with that, and that the council member is okay with that. But definitely happy to bring that to them. Here's a better.
Sam, we lost your audio. You're back.
Okay. I was just looking at our most recent newsletter, ward5.us/news, and to find the feedback, because they do have a feedback form now. That's their feedback form where you can accept public comment. And then we made a kind of scorecard about the things that we had suggested last year, a task force. And that scorecard is here. And then finally, we are going to be hosting an engagement session with WMATA on Zoom on Monday, June 3rd at 6 to elevate neighbors' feedback and also to reconvene the task force. So if you'd like to join that meeting, you can go to the link I just dropped in the chat, ward5.us/bus meeting. Is that all your questions?
Great. Commissioner Hurst?
I just have a quick question about the early childhood educator program that is a must-have for our council person. I guess it's more of a comment, which is, as a DC public school teacher, I guess I would love to see the council member fight as hard to get a living wage for the classroom aides that are at charter and public schools, because they're paid $17 to $19 an hour starting right now in our schools, and that's not a living wage at all. And yet we are subsidizing, and that's a must-have to subsidize the early childhood educators, which I'm not arguing against paying any early childhood educators a living wage. Why aren't we starting with our own city employees instead of the ones that work at private daycares, which in some ways subsidizes the business? Anyway, that would be my comment to push the council member to push even harder for our own classroom aides at charter and public schools as a maybe another step, because I'm not against his proposal or the proposal he is putting his line in the sand for.
Yeah, I'm sure he wants to fight for them too. I'm not sure on what he would say in response. So I would, if you're comfortable, to send him an email about that and CC me, that'd be helpful, so I can raise it up to him next time I talk to him as well, so get his perspective.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Commissioner Galvin, is your hand raised?
Yes, thanks so much, and good to see you, Sam. And thanks for joining that meeting at Emory House the other day. One question I had for you was about in this budget, you know, there was a lot of legislation that was passed on the public safety realm, on the traffic safety, the STEER Act. But given the budget conditions that we're in today, is there any of those that are even considered being funded? Because it sounds like a lot of stuff is getting cut, and there aren't a whole lot of new additional initiatives that are planned to be funded. And I ask because, you know, from a public safety perspective, if the Secure DC bill that was passed, and specifically the STEER Act, which I think would potentially bring in revenue for the city, are there any other considerations the council is considering to really kind of close that budget gap with revenue sourcing investments in the budget? Does that make sense?
I feel like there's a couple nested questions there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start with saying I'm not in the negotiating table for a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And I haven't dug through all the committee markups, which even if I had, those aren't going to be the necessarily final, right? They're still Karen brings them all together. I do know that Councilmember Pinto is trying to get some of her bill, Security DC funded. I don't know where she landed on it. I think similarly with Alan and the STEER Act, but I also haven't looked at the committee markups in depth enough to be able to answer that. But I can look into that. I do know there are a lot of conversations out there that different council members are having about raising revenue, and as sort of what I said before about, you know, if we're doing a shared sacrifice, like how do we make it actually be an equitable share of the sacrifice, especially given all the critical programs that are on the chopping block. And so I do know there are a lot of proposals on the table about it. I don't know, and I'm not even sure. My sense is the council member doesn't know what precisely will end up in the final both Mendelssohn's and then the final negotiations. but I do know
Totally.
they're on the table. So that
Okay.
is exciting. I do think there will be at least some that end up put in the final budget.
Got it. Got it. So yeah, I would just encourage a conversation maybe with the councilman. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I take that time? I would just encourage the council member to consider the STEER Act, putting in investments that will actually raise revenue and also at the same time reduce some of the traffic violence that we're seeing. That's all.
Great.
For sure.
Sorry, we are having a lot of noises at the rec center.
Okay.
That was our
It's
reaction.
being used. The
It
rec
is,
center
yeah, the
being
rec
used.
center is in use, which is great to see.
Yeah.
I'm just doing a quick time check. It is 7:37. We do have more presentations than usual, but I would love to turn to members of the public for any questions for Mr. Bonner from the council member's office. If you're in person, please feel free to physically raise your hand, or if you're online, please use the raise hand feature via Zoom.
Excuse me, that's Mr. Sam talking?
Yeah, that was Mr. Sam talking.
I'm still concerned about get the speed humps in this area.
Could you
I
do
know
your,
you
your
said-
name and neighborhood?
Me, Sam talk on the phone off and on. He
Okay.
called me and I call him.
I just mean
sometimes.
for the minutes.
Yeah.
If you, Reggie, could you give your name and neighborhood?
Reginald
Thank you.
Harris.
Go ahead.
And I was concerned about the speed
Speed hump.
bumps in this area.
Mhm,
And Miss Melissa, she can tell the witness how people speed in this area.
mhm.
And we understand we supposed to get those speed bumps. But Sam told me last time I talked to me, Sam had good news for them. And I was very happy to hear about the speed humps in this area for the safer reason for everyone.
Mhm.
And she can tell you how people speed in this area. She's a crossing guard,
Sure.
and thank God for her being there. But people are not slowing down in this
Yeah.
area. So I understand they supposed to get their speed humps down pretty soon.
Sam?
Reginald, we won that though.
Yeah.
we got. I know it's gonna take some time before we get it, but I want you to celebrate the fact that you've been advocating for this for years, and
Yeah.
they finally said yes. So that's a lot more than what most people who call my office get. So I want to celebrate the win and keep pushing to make sure it comes and gets installed soon.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it. And you know, you can call me anytime. We know we talk off and on. And you want to say
Of
to
course.
Miss Crossing Guard, she's out there. She can tell you what's going on.
Well,
I do.
This, Mr. Lister.
I'm Melissa Godbolt. I am a Ward 5 member resident as well as employee. And as Reggie said, I am the crossing guard for Inspired. And in the morning, I am concerned with how people are traveling on Lincoln Road. There needs to be a speed camera somewhere by the cemetery pointed up Lincoln Road from Franklin Street to catch these speeders, as well as seeing people cross the double yellow line. It's not clear where they're gonna turn when they turn. No turn signals to let me know they're gonna turn. I have been in the middle of the street and me and a parent have almost been struck on multiple occasions. So it's a matter of the speed humps are not gonna fix the whole problem. We need to start down at Lincoln and Franklin and work back up.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I've lived at Lincoln and Rhode Island for the last 7 years, so I'm very familiar with the issues along Lincoln Road, and I agree. I know that it's been part of the DDOT study on more comprehensive traffic safety updates along North Capitol, that they also got funding to also look at traffic safety updates along Lincoln. I'm not sure if it goes all the way to Franklin, but I agree with you that it totally should. And I'm not sure how we would do a speed camera going southbound down because there's no median for the camera to sit. I know there is a speed camera on the northbound at Douglas. So I will ask about that to see if that might be possible.
Well, knowing the new technology I have seen around the city with speed cameras put on poles in the air, That would be one to look at because of that
Yeah,
cemetery.
but there's no poles either. It's just a wall.
It'd be easier to install a pole than to install that camera.
Yeah,
Just
well,
like-
I'll have to look into it to see what DDOT would say about that.
Hey, Sam, can I have a question for you? I'm saying that put speed humps on Quanwa Terrace, because me and Frank, we were talking about it earlier today. He told me about the signs by the park here by Lincoln Road. Correct me if I'm wrong, are they supposed to put a speed bump on Quanwa Terrace where I live at?
No, you had submitted requests for speed humps on Second as people come off Lincoln Road near Cromwell Terrace.
Okay. Thank you for your input, Sam. Always good to talk with you. And,
Good to talk to you too.
you can call me anytime, Sam.
Of course, you too.
Yeah, thank you, Sam.
I think there was another, did you have a hand up?
Yeah, I did. Sam, I'd just like
I might
to,
need to come up.
Yeah,
with
do
microphones.
you mind actually?
And would you mind giving your name?
yeah,
for the record?
Sharda Strassmore, Ward 5 resident. Hi, Sam. I'd really like to see Councilmember Parker support both safety and mobility projects as well as trails projects. So if they come up for cuts and he's negotiating, that's what I want to see him negotiate for.
Can you share more what you mean by trails projects?
Yes, in the DDOT capital budget, there are extensive trails funding, and those line items, I'd like to see them maintained.
Okay. It's hard because I kind of usually need like a specific thing to be able to look it up. But I can give the general comment if you'd like. I know that there was the trail that the mayor funded some trail projects, both the Arboretum connection, as well as an entrance to that trail from Maryland Avenue in Carver Langston. I'm not sure of any around here besides the MBT, but I don't think there's any.
I am a Ward 5 resident, but I do, bike outside of Ward 5. So it's a general trails.
Okay.
As like a connected network.
So what's in the budget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome, cool.
Defend it is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, great. Commissioner Galvin, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick note to Frank, that the speed bumps that are being installed are the 2500 block of 3rd Street, the 2500 block of 2nd Street, the 200 block of Bryant Street, and the 300 block of Douglas Street. And yeah, those were all, either 311 requests that I or you had put in that we've been advocating for a long time. And I'll just mention that the intersection of Lincoln and 2nd and Douglas is still very problematic. And I know DDOT has something on the books as part of their safe schools work. I just don't know the timeline on that. But I will reach out to them to see if I can get some sort of rough schedule on when that, hopefully that will be, because I know that those drivers speed right off of Lincoln right in front of that intersection to get onto 2nd Street. Hopefully the speed bump will slow them down, but it still doesn't address them speeding off of Lincoln. So just we'll keep advocating.
Sam, they only stop at they run up here by Lincoln Road, they run through the stop sign, they only stop at the stop sign, and it's really don't make sense.
Yep, no, I agree. I agree, Reggie.
Yeah.
I do want to make one last comment before I have to jump because now I'm double booked on these evenings.
Great. I was also going to say where time has elapsed, so that's perfect. We are aligned. Great. But I'll let you make your last comment.
Just that I've been, as Commissioner Galvan said, I've been trying to organize neighbors and different stakeholders in 2 kind of key areas in our area where there's a lot of different issues, both North Capitol P with the North Capitol Trust Builders, which we started doing community engagement, giving out food and helping people with meeting people where they are. And I want to start doing that at the shelter too. And I've engaged some of those residents to hopefully figure out how we can more effectively and sustainably change behavior, some of this antisocial behavior that a lot of people are frustrated by. So I'm hoping continue to work on that, and please reach out to me if you're interested or want to learn more, and I'll put my contact info in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so
Sam,
much.
for everything. Appreciate that.
All right, now I'm moving on to the next section of the agenda. Again, doing a time check, we're at 7:45 and do have a robust agenda to get through. But we are at public comment. So if anyone would like to address everyone in the commission meeting, about opening up to the floor, I see Melissa's hand raised. So I'll turn to you, Melissa.
Hi, my name is Melissa. I live at I live in Ward 5 at 4th and Adams Street. I'm commenting because we were made aware of the renewal of Edgewood Wine and Liquor, their license, and I wanted to bring it to the board's attention and to the Alcohol Licensing Committee's attention that the establishment has very negative impacts on immediate neighbors. There's a lot of loitering, there's a lot of crime, there's a lot of trash. A lot of this happens between the hours of 11:30 p.m. and 1:30 in the morning. I think they're one of the latest opened liquor stores in the city, probably. And so we just really want to urge the ANC to protest potentially the license there, definitely to work with the establishment to try to change the hours. It's gotten really, really out of hand in the last couple of years, if not more so in the last couple of months. And yeah, just wanted to call some attention to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. And one thing I will say is that we do have on our action agenda a section talking about the various licenses. I do see that Edgewood, that particular licensee was not listed, but I will ask that if anyone's comment is related to alcohol licensing, if we could hold that to the section of the agenda, that would be amazing. But if anyone would like to reference topics that are not currently represented on our agenda, please, the floor is yours. So next hand I saw come up was Erica. We'll unmute you now.
Hi, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great. So I actually was here to echo the comments that Melissa just made. Unfortunately, I do have to drop. I have another engagement, so I'm not able to stick around for the full meeting. But similarly, I've lived across the street from the Edgewood Wine and Liquors for about 2 years. And as my apartment faces 4th Street, I unfortunately have a front row seat to the constant crime and other public disturbances that are just rampant at that location. It's a hot spot for drug deals. I work from home 1 day a week. I can point out to you exactly who the drug dealers are, as they constantly set up shop right there in front of the building. I do think that a lot of the disturbances are encouraged by the fact that the store is open so late. It's open significantly later, as Melissa said, than the other stores in the area. In fact, I lived in the district for more than a decade. I can't think of another store that's open till 1 in the morning. In addition, there are cars double, triple parked, people getting into fights. It gets rowdier as the night goes on. They spill over onto our side of 4th Street. So you just never quite know what you're going to walk into, if you go outside at night. So thank you all. Just wanted to voice my concerns. And I do think that it would be in the interest of the community if the ANC were to consider protesting the renewal of the license. So thank you.
Great. Thank you for your comments. One quick thing I will say is we'll put the link to, I know the Alcohol Licensing Committee has created a community feedback form that they're collecting comments on. We'll share that right now just so that everyone has that accessible, but we'll discuss that later in our meeting as well. Next hand I saw was Rafael Moreno.
Hi, yeah, my name is Rafael Moreno. I Ward 5 resident. Just like the two last ladies that have talked, I completely agree that the issue of Edgewood International Wines and Spirits liquor store, it's just too much that they open so late and there's so much loitering constantly and so much noise. I'm here to voice my concern about it, and I urge the ANC to protest the renewal of the liquor license whenever it comes up.
Okay. Thank you so much. I do not currently see any other hands raised online, but I'll turn to anyone and yeah, of course, yeah.
So I am here to protest as well the renewal of the liquor license for Edgewood Wine and Spirits. I lived across the street from them for nearly 8 years. And during that time, there have been endless rowdy nights being woken up by their customers. They seem to have little regard for the neighborhood and the neighbors, and again, seem to draw crime, unlike the other 2 liquor stores. So very understanding of somebody's business needs and someone needing to make a living, but we have 2 other liquor stores on the adjacent blocks, and neither of them seem to draw the same crowd. So I'd really like to, if we do end up with a negotiated settlement, see a shorter hours, perhaps closing at 9 or 10 p.m. And perhaps not renewing their liquor license.
Okay. Great, thank you. Any other comments from anyone online? Please raise your hand. I do not see any other hands raised. So I will close public comment. I will turn to any commissioners who would like to respond. I would like to say, since we do have a section on our agenda where we'll talk about settlement agreements and the licensees, if we could hold our comments until that point in just to keep the meeting moving so that we can continue having that robust discussion there, I would like to see that. But if anyone would like to respond at this particular point, great. Amazing. We are going to move on to the next item of business. So the first presentation that we have is from Inspired Teaching School. This is a section where we have presentations relating to agenda items. So the only agenda presentation I had was from Kate Keplinger. If we could unmute her, that would be great.
Welcome, Ms. Keplinger.
Commissioner Hurst, you want to give a kind of a quick introduction as to the
Sure.
reason behind this presentation?
Inspired Teaching School is very close to us right now at Edgewood Rec Center. It is a local school that many of the parents that are in my neighborhood send their children to. It is got good representation even from a fabulous employee of the school right here. They are seeking to have a loosening of their enrollment cap. I think Ms. Keplinger can maybe speak to it even better, so I won't steal all of her thunder. But it is a well-regarded school in our community, so let's make sure we welcome them and let them speak.
Sure. Thank you all for giving me a few minutes tonight. I'll do my best to keep it short and sweet. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Melissa. She's the best. We love her. We're grateful to have her every day. So thank you for being there every day. I'm also glad to hear about speed bumps. That's great. That'll really be a great help, I'm sure. I'm going to share my screen if that's all right. I just have a short presentation to give you the context of what's going on with us. We are submitting an amendment to the Public Charter School Board to make a very small change to our enrollment ceiling. Part of that process requires us to let our ANC know that we're submitting that application, and Mr. Hurst and I have been in touch, and he invited me here tonight to make that presentation. So I just want to take a few minutes to let you all know a little bit about our school, which he asked me to include, and then just a brief summary of our request that has to go through PCSB. So briefly, for those of you who don't know us, we've been in existence since 2011. We moved into Edgewood in 2013. And we are our mission is a professional learning community of master teachers and teacher residents to ensure a diverse group of students achieve their potential as accomplished learners, thoughtful citizens, and imaginative and inquisitive problem solvers, through a demanding inquiry-based curriculum. It's a mouthful, but basically we have students from all over the city and work to actively engage them in their learning, focusing on intellect, inquiry, imagination, and integrity. A few quick facts. The former Shade School is our third location, but our intended permanent location. 65% of our students are from Ward 5. We do offer the equitable access lottery preference. We were one of the first schools to do that to make sure that we can keep the diversity and represent all students from across the city as we're diverse by design. And PCSB has designated us as a Tier 1 school since 2016. So we really enjoy being in the Edgewood neighborhood. Love the building, love the school, love our neighbors. It's been a really great place for us to be. a little bit about our enrollment, just for those who are interested in those sorts of things. You can see our demographics show that we're pretty diverse in who we serve. And then our enrollment growth, you can see over here in our original charter, we intended to take 10 years to get to our full enrollment. So 2021 was the first year that we would potentially get to our current enrollment ceiling of 520 students. And we've hovered around that for the last 4 years, and that's our intent to stay there. We don't intend to go above 520 students, but as you can see, we did end up with 522 students this year. And thus the reason for our proposal to change our amendment to the Public Charter School Board. So just briefly, this is the crux of the issue. So we receive our financial support based on the number of students enrolled, and we can only receive funding up to that number of our ceiling. Any change to that has to go through the Public Charter School Board, and they have to approve that, which is the process we're about to engage in. Our current ceiling is 520 students, which assumes 24 students per classroom, K through 8, and 22 students in our 3s and 4s. But the way the enrollment works through the lottery and people being on wait lists and getting accepted at multiple places, in order to enroll 520 students, we have to offer a few more seats than 520 students. It's a little like college admissions, because some people will accept and some people won't, and then you go to your wait list and whatnot. And so what we are doing is requesting a small increase so we have a buffer to ensure that if we do enroll a few more than 520 students, we would still receive financial support for them. So our proposal is that we're requesting an increase to 536 students, which is basically 2 students per grade or 1 student per classroom in 1st through 8th grade. And truly, it's really just about a buffer. We don't intend to enroll over 520. That's still our target. We would only go over like we did this year if a few more students accept than we anticipate. So we're not increasing our number of classrooms or grades. We're not changing our enrollment target. We're not intending to grow any more than what we're currently at. We are satisfied with 520 students. It's plenty, but we have to do this process in order to even just have that buffer. And so I wanted to present that to you and answer any questions that you may have about that or concerns. And basically just make sure that you are all on board and know that this is happening. Once we submit our request to PCSB, I believe they will reach out to the ANC and see if there are any questions. And so interested in addressing those before that happens.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Perfect timing. I'll turn to everyone for questions. Great. I don't see any hands raised in the room or online. So thank you, Ms. Keplinger.
Fabulous. Thank you all so much. Reach out anytime.
Thank you.
For presenting.
So the next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. So we have put a couple of motions, mostly resolutions, to this section of the agenda in the kind of interest of expediency. So I'll list out the 3 items that are up to vote on. First is the resolution supporting Inspired Teaching Schools' request to the Public Charter School Board, which we just heard a presentation on. Second is a resolution supporting the admittance of DC into the Union as a state of the United States. And third is a approval of a $200 reimbursement to Commissioner Bishop Henchman for our PO Box renewal. These resolutions are linked online, as well as the receipt for the reimbursement. So I will move forward with the consent agenda. As usual, our procedure is that any commissioner would like to remove any item from the consent agenda, you're welcome to do so. So I will give commissioners a couple minutes, or a couple seconds rather, to remove anything from the consent agenda. Okay, with none noted, we will move forward with voting on the consent agenda. And this is just a procedural motion. This means that we are voting as all 3 motions together so that we don't have to vote 3 times. I will do a roll call vote. So Commissioner Hurst, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Sani?
Aye.
And I saw that Commissioner Williams is online. So Commissioner Williams. Oh, you might have to.
No, she's opposed.
Okay, that was me trying to find the mute button.
Sure.
We're voting for those 3
Yeah.
consent.
Yeah, the three
Yes.
items of the consent agenda. Okay, so Commissioner Williams votes aye. Commissioner Galvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson is me and I vote aye. Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
Aye.
And Commissioner Pinckney, I do not see present. So a vote of 6 ayes, 1 not present, and 0 abstention, 0 objections. This motion passes. Great. So the next item of business is the action agenda, where we are able to kind of discuss items that are up for vote in the difference between consent agenda and the action agenda. So the consent agenda are things that like we kind of perceive that a lot of the commissioners will probably vote in favor for, or we've kind of discussed over email. The action agenda are items that we think that there will be more discussion from the public or from commissioners. So the item on the action agenda, as we've kind of talked about, has already come up during public comment, is the approval to proceed with settlement agreements, substantially similar to a settlement agreement template, which the Alcohol and Cannabis Licensing Committee has developed. There have been a couple of businesses that were called out. I will open up the floor to see if you need to add on any additional businesses. But there has been a template that has been developed, which I will let Commissioner Bishop Henchman kind of talk through. But
yeah, and I
right.
don't know if Ms. Coughlin, I think she said she couldn't make it,
But
or
I think
Mr. Perez
is online, yeah.
Because I know we don't get committees later. Maybe they want to talk about them now.
Sure.
But,
I think I would propose that we talk about the Alcohol Licensing Committee updates during this section, just to kind of combine it. And I think it's substantially relevant.
Okay.
But the businesses that we included in the notice were, I won't read the ADCA license number because it's a lot. But Go Puff, 501 Wine and Spirits, Prime Barrel, Grape Intentions, Max Wine and Liquors, Sosnick's, and Wardman Wines.
And
Are there
I
anyone?
could speak to the
Yes,
first
absolutely.
5,
Sure.
which are in my SMD. And I've
Yes.
communicated with each of them. I don't have completed settlement agreements. I'm very thankful to the committee for helping develop a draft. They only completed the draft about 10 days ago or so. And, we try to negotiate quickly. It hasn't been that quickly enough. But just going through each of them, Go Puff, we're talking about noise issues, especially with the delivery vehicles and with trash. I'm confident we're going to be able to get there, so I don't think we need to protest tonight.
Sure.
Like I said, I don't have a settlement agreement yet, but I think we'll get there. Obviously, if any members of the public disagree with that, any 5 members can submit a protest independent of the ANC. And the deadline on at least my 5 are tonight. For 501 Wine and Spirits, we've had very good discussions. Again, I don't have a settlement agreement yet. I'm confident we're going to get one. And the feedback that we've gotten from the community on them is that they're a very good community partner, that people have, glowing things to say about them. And so I'm confident we'll get there. For Prime Barrel and for Grape Intentions, I'll deal with them together. Those are internet-based retailers who are located in Eckington. And we're great to have them. It's kind of all the benefits of having a business without any of the costs. Again, having great discussions with them. It's kind of a question of like, once you take out all of the stuff in the settlement agreement that comes with having a physical location, what's left. So that one may be a very short settlement agreement when we come to the end of the day on it, but being very cooperative. And so I think we'll get there. Max Wine and Liquor, I have not heard from. I have emailed them, and we did have a lot of feedback on it. So, I will move that we protest that license in the hope that doing so can motivate an agreement. What I have written here is, and I'll just read it out. Be it resolved that ANC 5F protests the alcoholic beverage license application by Max Liquors Inc. Abra 060758, located at 401 Rhode Island Avenue Northeast, on the grounds of the effect of the establishment on peace, order, quiet, including noise and litter. Specifically, the establishment has not agreed to make all efforts to promote safety in the neighborhood, including, it's a list, deterring illegal activity near the establishment by calling MPD to prevent public drunkenness or illegal drug sales. discouraging alcohol consumption in the immediate vicinity of the establishment, removing litter from the premises of and abutting sidewalk traceable to the establishment, participating in the camera rebate program, maintaining sufficient exterior lighting, and controlling vermin. And that be it resolved that ANC 5F is willing to enter into a settlement agreement with the establishment to address these concerns, but has not heard back from our inquiry. And be it further resolved, the sponsor is directed to transmit a copy of this resolution to ABCA and authorized to represent himself as speaking on behalf of ABCA. So that is my motion on that item, Commissioner Henderson. So basically, I'm suggesting that we not take action on these first 4 and then adopt that resolution on the 5th.
Okay.
And then I'll leave the other 2 items for the commissioners in those areas.
Okay, great. So just in the interest of keeping things organized, just to recap, if anyone would like to speak to the 5 businesses that Commissioner Bishop Henchman has referenced, I'll open the floor to see if anyone would like to comment. I will say that one of the things that the ACLC, the Alcohol and Cannabis Licensing Committee, has done is that they have opened you are always welcome to submit comments directly to ABCA, but we also do have an Alcohol Cannabis License Committee that does get input from our neighbors and kind of help put them all together. So they have gotten some feedback on some of the businesses that we have talked about, and that has been incorporated in kind of the discussions of the businesses thus far. But yes, go ahead.
I would like to register a concern with Max. They recently, I would say it was like 6 to 12 months ago, had a short in their electricity system, which caused their alarm to go off overnight. And there was no one that was contactable through any method, either an ABCA inspector or looking up their business license to ensure that they could turn this off. And so I would like to add that to part of their settlement agreement, if possible, that they have appropriate contact information for someone who has access to the store and is able to deal with any noise that results, because it echoed all the way up 4th Street.
Wow.
It was wild.
I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
I agree with what she's saying.
Yeah.
That whole fourth and Avenue, that's a bad area. Late at night, I drive past it, 11:30, I pick from one of my neighbors from the hospital. I drive with it, 4th and Royal Avenue, especially that little shopping center from McDonald's. That's a drug area right there. And that whole area, they need more police in that area to, like you said, it's very disrespectful to the people in the community. I live in DC all my life. I've been in DC all my life. I've been around here in this area every 6 to 60. They need more police attention in this area, especially 4th and Royal Avenue. And that's my opinion. I thank God we need more help.
Okay.
And like you said, it's very terrible, especially late at night, from 11:30 to 1 o'clock in the morning. They hang out outside the liquor store. And I mean, there's something got to be done about the 45 area. And the area getting dirty, the grass in the tree box and be cut. They throw trash on the ground. I pick up some trash in the neighborhood myself. But the thing is, we going back to safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is a safety issue too, about people hanging out in this area doing their drug business. And police need more police in this Ward 5 area. And so everything is about a safety issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Commissioner Galvin, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, no, thanks again, Commissioner Bishop Henchman, for all your help on this. And I'll reiterate, on my side of the street on 4th Street, I have had witnessed myself and also heard from the business, used to be called Mint Dental, now it's called Two Aces, has complained that they constantly see people going back and forth to the bus stop between Max Liquor and Trash that area, get into fights, clearly lots of drug dealing in and around that area. And I have had discussions with MPD about that area. And they also, mentioned the concern about the late night activity associated with the drugstores being, or the liquor stores being open late. So I'm happy to support that as it was written. So thank you so much for that.
Okay, great. So I know that there was a motion on the floor, which is to adopt, to vote on a resolution regarding max wine and liquors.
To protest
To-
it
to
using the
protest the
language that I
license.
read out there.
Okay, got it. All right, so is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Great, with a second on the motion. So to clarify, we are voting on a resolution with the language that Commissioner Bishop Henchman included to protest the max wine and liquors. So I will go to a roll call vote. Commissioner Hurst, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Sani?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson is myself, and I vote aye. I don't know my last name. Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
Aye.
And Commissioner Pinckney is not present. So with a vote of 6 to 0 to 0, this motion passes. Great. I will go to the two other businesses that have been listed, Sosnick's and Wardman Wines, if anyone would like to speak to those. And also, if anyone would like to add any businesses for discussion, this would be the time.
I need to support Wardman Wines in every way possible. I love them so much. And I'm very grateful that they're in the neighborhood and their tastings are so fun to cook.
Great. Is there a motion on the floor?
I don't know. No.
Okay, great.
I don't think
Need a
there's
few more tastings for that.
Okay, amazing. Sosnick's, did anyone would like to,
advertising.
Commissioner Galvin? Your hand is still raised.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So I was in touch with Melissa, who was assisting with this, and she did talk with Sosnick's and indicated that they will sign the drafted settlement agreement. Their plan is to bring that to them tomorrow and meet over the weekend to get that settlement agreement signed. So it's good to see some partnership with them as well on that effort.
Great. Amazing. I will go to Mr. Perez just to give the alcohol, the ACLC committee update because I think it's relevant to these items. You have the ability to mute yourself now. You should be unmuted. Ooh, we see that you're muted, but we can't hear you. Okay. Could we go over, Mr. Perez, you are unmuted, so try again to speak. If we hear you, we will let you know, but we'll kind of move forward in the meantime. Commissioner Bishop Henchman, just since you've been working with the committee closely, are there any other businesses with protest deadlines that require us to discuss it at this meeting opposed to our next meeting in June?
Good question. I don't believe.
Commissioner Williams, while Commissioner Bishop Henchman is looking at that, I want to turn to you.
Yes, I want to speak about Edgewood Wine and Spirits.
Yes, absolutely.
At present, trying to work with MPD to move those folks along the way because they are giving them a bad name. And I'm trying to work with MPD to come by frequently because there is not a loitering law in DC. So as soon as they move, they come back. As soon as they move, they come back. And the store is not responsible for them outside. But I'm working with MPD to get that problem solved, and they're working with MPD to get that problem solved. Because working with them lately, they have been threatened.
Thank you.
So that's we're still working on that.
Okay.
So on the, that's helpful to know, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
On the draft agreement that was circulated, there was a typo in it.
Yes.
That more than one person caught, but you were the first one to tell
Yes.
everybody about. So on
There's
single,
a lot.
so let's see. So it's on 6C, which is refraining from, I mean, let me just read it out loud as it reads. The establishment shall refrain from dividing a manufacturer's package of more than one container of beer, malt liquor, or ale to sell an individual container of the package if the capacity of the individual container is 70 ounces or less, or selling, giving, offering, exposing for sale, or delivering an individual container of beer, malt liquor, or ale with the capacity of 70 ounces or less, as well as spirits, liquor sold in half pints or smaller volumes, period. And then this is part of the typo, not selling alcoholic beverages in mini or single bottles, i.e. single sales at or below 375 milliliters, 12.7 ounces. So the template agreement is drawn from settlement agreements approved by ABCA by other ANCs that we've never done. ANC's 5F is new, obviously. We just started last year, so we've never done a liquor license settlement agreement before. So the committee drew them from settlement agreements from all over the city. And I mean, what's happened here is there is some language from, some commission somewhere that was put in here, and then language from another commission that was kind of addressing the same thing. I am probably the worst person you want making judgments on alcohol policy and sales. I think there's people here who know more about it than I do. I know the members of the committee are here, and people have been doing this for a long time. So I welcome, this is written on paper, it's not written on stone, and we haven't yet signed anything yet. So I think this is the perfect moment to decide whether we want a policy on single sales, and if so, what it should be. And I'm, perfectly fine with whatever the commission comes up on that. It is something that's come up before. You see it in some of the public feedback there. But this also may be something that establishments may push back on also, and that's something that we should consider. I'll leave it there.
Commissioner Maslany?
I can say from a general kind of perspective on someone who sees the impacts of those small single-use bottles, that's when I do pickups of trash in my neighborhood, I feel like 90% of it are those little fireball caps from the single, maybe couple shots of malt liquor people will get from the store on my block. So I feel like if that is enforceable, that's something that should at least be within our arsenal of settlement agreement resources that we can draw from as we build these agreements for various establishments in our community. So I think having some verbiage around that is good. I'm not necessarily suggesting it needs to be used for all establishments. I leave that to the commissioners who are engaging with those places, but something I see value in.
Great. I was one of the commissioners that responded to that particular typo and had like substantial feedback as well. Just on the 370, this may get too in the weeds, but the point that I made was 375 milliliter is a pretty common increment that wine in particular really sold in. It's a half bottle. So I do think that it would be helpful to limit the sales of 50 milliliter liquor, which I think is the big problem that we're seeing. But particularly I could see, especially retailers objecting to limiting the sales of 375 milliliter bottles of wine, which is a pretty popular increment, particularly for sparkling wine. So I'll leave that there. Commissioner Galvin and Commissioner Williams, I see your hands raised. I'll go to Commissioner Williams first.
There is a guideline that need to go to the ABCA committee. Because when we were 5E, I was the chairperson for the ABRA committee. And I made sure they went to the training so they can get a clear understanding of how to write these settlement agreements. So we're putting that language into this. I think we need to check ABCA first to see what their guidelines are before we put it in stone. That's just my suggestion.
Okay, great suggestion. Commissioner Galvin?
Yeah, so I agree with certainly with you, Commissioner Williams, that to go through the training. I know at least I did go a few months ago, attended some other trainings as well. For your point, Commissioner Anderson, about the wine, yeah, I totally agree. I think 375 milliliters is a typical kind of wine selling size. I think what we are talking about is the single shots and the double shots that are sold commonly, and I think those are typically used to be consumed almost instantaneously. And we do same trash, that same kind of use over there, especially at Fourth and Adams, and kind of contributes to the trash um, and issues we've had on that area with noise and whatnot. So I think, if I'm doing my math right, a shot is 44 milliliters, and so a double shot is 88. So I feel like, under 100 makes sense, to kind of just talk about double or single shots not being sold individually. It's fair that it might be something that a alcohol establishment may balk against, but I do think it's an important thing to kind of limit and restrict. And based on the research I did with other settlement agreements across the city, it's actually fairly common to restrict those types of sales. And I think if we're treating everyone the same, uh, for those alcohol selling in that area, that we should all kind of contributes to everyone being on the same level based competitiveness for what they can sell in that area. That's just my 2 cents.
Great. I'm just doing a quick time check. We are at 8:23, and we do have a hard out of this space at 9 p.m., which is all people out of the building at 9 p.m. And we have 3 presentations after this if we skip committee updates. So we are coming kind of to the end of this discussion time, but I know that this is important and we have some hands raised. So just to go back to what Commissioner Bishop Henchman was looking at, the deadline for letters of support or opposition for Franklin Liquors is May 20th. Edgewood Wine and Spirits, the protest deadline or protest, whatever, the act protest or the letters of opposition or support deadline is June 17th, which is the day of our next meeting. So what I would propose, since it seems like there are a lot of feedback that we're getting on Edgewood Wine and Spirits, is that we hold on taking action on that until our next meeting, because that corresponds with that we would still be within the window that we need to take action on that. But I want to raise Franklin Liquors and Market and see if anyone would like to propose taking action on Franklin Liquors and Markets. Okay. Any commissioners willing to take proposing an action on this item? I do not see any hands raised from commissioners, so I will go to the members. Oh, Commissioner Williams.
With Franklin Street Liquors, which is in my single member district, FO3.
Yes.
I've been MPD and the establishment and the community have been working hard to correct all that has been brought to their attention and to mine. I just need MPD to go down on 4th Street for me. So I'm standing in support for Franklin Street.
Okay, great. Yes, go ahead.
I would like to not stand in support of Franklin Street, given the traffic concerns in that area. There typically a lot of buildup on the sidewalk that people who are going into the business. And as there is a bike lane and many schools in that area, it really adds to the congestion and makes for unsafe conditions.
And I would like to kind of restate where members of 5 members of the community can register to protest licenses, the ANC can support protests or also not take action. Those are kind of the options that are available on the table. I will go to Mr. Perez, whose hand is raised, and see if you have any comments, and then I will try to move on from this item.
Sure, it's David Perez. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I know Melissa asked me to, present on behalf of our committee, and I know now you're on Franklin Liquor, but I don't know when you want me, but she left some notes about the Edgewood Liquor one. So I don't know if I should speak now or not because I couldn't be unmuted before, but whatever you prefer.
Yeah, if you wanted to kind of give a quick committee update, I would say Edgewood Wine and Spirits, just because the protest deadline is not until our next meeting. Let's hold the comments there since I think concerns have been raised, and I don't think we need to take action at this particular meeting. But if there's a general committee update that it would be helpful to share, please go ahead. I will say that just time checking, we are 30 minutes until the end of our meeting.
Got it. I think, she emailed the report to Melissa, but there's about 22 entries from the link of folks, and most of them are about the agreements here. So I think you all are having great discussion on that. And I think Melissa's comments echoed the ones already said on Edgewood, and she recommended perhaps inviting them to the next ANC meeting, where since that is the protest deadline, it could be taken up there. But I think there's nothing additional besides what you're all saying. So thank you, and sorry for the technical difficulty.
No worries at all. Thank you, David. Commissioner Williams, given the two businesses under discussion are in your SMD, we will follow your lead on what you would like to do next.
And if I could.
Yeah, absolutely. Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
We didn't really resolve this, how we're wording the single sales things. We can do that by email. We can do that elsewhere. And certainly if members of the public watching have opinions on that, please share them with us. And so I would want to sort it out, especially if I guess, Sosnex is ready to sign. We should decide what we want them to sign. And then for, if we're making verbal agreements with establishments that you ought to do this, you ought to do that, I'm a believer that we should put it in writing.
Okay. Great.
Agreed.
I would,
because that's what makes it enforceable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is a good point. I would say that the template language, I don't think procedurally we have to vote on the template since that is a basis for us to the jumping off point. I think we have discussed our concerns. I would propose, given we don't have to vote on it, we continue our discussions outside of the public meeting space. If members of the public have strong feelings, please share those. But I think the general crux of what we're looking for in the template language has been shared, and I think that was a helpful discussion. Commissioner Galvin, I'll turn to you.
Yes, I just want to make sure I understand. So for this action agenda, we're basically approving to give commissioners the ability to negotiate the settlement agreement based on these ABCA proposals. Is that correct?
What I would
one being protested.
But I would say you have that power already because
go ahead.
The action that the committee takes is to approve a settlement agreement, approve a license, just approve it, or to protest. So those are the three things that you can work towards. I've been working very closely with our committee on this as you have, and I think that's all. The only thing that needs to happen is once you have an action, as I did today with a protest, that's what the commission needs to debate and vote on.
Yes. So right now we have voted to protest a particular license that Commissioner Bishop Henchman has put on the board. As of right now, there is no additional item for us to vote on, to my awareness. If any commissioner does, please let me know. Commissioner Commissioner, I see your hand raised.
Yes, this template need to be revised. Because when it comes down to the ABRA license.
Good evening, patrons. The time is now 8:30. Edgewood Recreation and Fitness Center is officially closed. Edgewood Recreation and Fitness Center is officially closed. To all of my fitness center patrons, please begin to bring your workouts to a close and return your weights to the rack. Dispose of your trash in the appropriate trash receptacles.
Wow.
Now 8:30 and Edgewood Recreation and Fitness Center is officially closed. Thank you.
All right, sorry, Commissioner Williams.
Because where was I? We revised.
5-minute
Template, ABCA will need to approve.
Yeah, no, yeah. The word, the verbiage in this template need to be revised because the committee does not choose how to vote. They offer suggestions, give you strong opinions on which way you should go. And that's where I'm having a problem with this template. We'll discuss this at a later date.
Yeah, I think that's a smart proposal. Let's take this template. Let us continue discussing this via email, and we will discuss it at our next meeting. I will propose that we move forward to our next items. We have 3 presentations. So thank you so much for the robust discussion on alcohol licensing. I will say that there is a committee that is, as we've talked extensively about, which is of neighbors who care really strongly about this issue to get together to engage with these businesses in addition to the commissioners that represent the specific SMDs that work closely with these businesses as well. So thank you so much. We will move on. Next item is a presentation from DC Water's Lead-Free Initiative. So we will recognize Sean Moore. You should
Hi.
There. Yes, thank you so much.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present. Let me just bring up my presentation and I will try to move this along as quickly as I can. Sorry, screen. Start broadcast.
How much time have we told each presenter they have?
10 minutes.
Okay, thank
you. Okay.
I would love to give everyone 10 minutes. I will, as I've been saying, we are a little short on time, so
I promise I won't take the full 10. Can you see my presentation on the screen?
We can.
All right, perfect. All right, so just a couple of things. My name's Sean, again, with DC Water. I wanted to give you a little update on our Lead-Free DC program. I will let you know that Lead-Free DC is our plan to eliminate all lead service lines. If you have questions, you can always reach out to our lead at DC Water email box or call our lead hotline at 787-4044. So just right quick, what is Lead-Free DC? Like I said, it's our plan to remove all lead service lines, but it's 2 components to that. First, we're replacing all the known lead service lines. And the second part is that we're working to verify the material of the service lines associated with our records. To date, we've done over 5,700 replacements, and we're continuing to prioritize vulnerable communities as well as vulnerable populations as a part of our program. So we've been doing pretty good. When we started this, we were doing 28,000 by 2030. That number's gone up to 42,000. So it's going to take us a little bit longer, but we are definitely on track to replace every single service line in the city. So why are we doing this? Of course, the health effects of lead. Lead's a powerful neurotoxin. We know there's no safe level of lead, and lead has serious health impacts on all areas of the body. But it's most impactful. Well, the folks who suffer the most are women, pregnant women and children. And infants and children can have, of course, decreases in IQ, attention span, behavioral problems, learning problems, and even for us adults, heart disease, kidney disease, high blood pressure, nervous system problems. So, lead is just no good. It's just all around not good. That just shows you some of the health effects of lead. And by the way, I have emailed this presentation to the commission, so you can share this with everyone so that they can take a look at it and explore it a little bit more. Then I have time to talk about it today. So just quick, what's the water service line? That's the line that runs from the water main in the street into your home. That water line is owned by the homeowner, but DC Water is responsible for maintaining the public space, while the homeowner is responsible for the private space. And DC Water can't spend ratepayer funds to do any work on the private side. But fortunately, we have other money that allows us to do that for free. So we're really focused on two types of pipes. Lead pipes. If you see that bulb, I can guarantee you, you have a lead pipe. You get that white oxidation, and also galvanized pipes. So those are the two types of pipe materials that we're really focused on replacing as a part of our initiative. If you want to find out what type of pipe material you have, you can visit and use our service line map on dcwater.com/lead. We also have a construction dashboard there where you can put in your address and see if we have any upcoming construction plan for you. So the three programs that we have are buy block or capital improvement programs. This is what I'm really focused on today, but we also have a lead pipe assistance program for folks who only have a private side lead service line, and we also have a voluntary program. But we're focused particularly on buy block, which is where we choose blocks every year, and we're doing that all across the city. And we use that, we do a prioritization of data models so that we can select blocks based on service line material, household income, blood level indicators, and we score those blocks, and then we choose the blocks with the highest scores, and those are the ones that we prioritize. This is just some photos of the replacement. It takes about 8 hours. We'll replace the service line, and then we'll restore everything back to the way it was. And where are we in 5F? So right now we have 10 blocks selected, 143 homes that need authorizations. These are the blocks that I have in our current upcoming blocks. I think we do have some ongoing blocks from our last construction packages that may be happening in 5F right now. But this is what the new blocks that we've chosen. And we just need your help. Everyone has to sign this right of entry authorization in order for us to do the work. The work is free, and we want everyone to take advantage of this if they are eligible for it. So everything I talked about today is on dcwater.com/lead. Please peruse it, and you can find out everything you want to know about DC Water's lead programs. And here's my contact information. I'm Sean Moore, dcwater.com. There you go.
Thank you so much. That was very efficient.
I know it's a lot, it's a little, but I want to be respectful of your time, and I know you guys have a lot to do.
I appreciate that so much. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Moore? Amazing.
All right, and if they do, just please send me an email, and I'll gladly answer any questions that you have. And again, you all commissioners, you have the presentation that you can share with your ANC.
Thank you. Actually, Mr. Moore, there's a quick question from Commissioner Galvin.
No, not a question, just a comment that I participated in this program years ago.
We're losing you.
Yeah, we're losing you. We're losing you. If you could type your comment in the chat, we will be able to share that with everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Moore. Great program.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
You too. All right, moving on. We have a presentation from College Bound. Mr. Ward is presenting on behalf of the organization. Mr. Ward, I think you should have the ability.
Yes, I can. I'm trying to start my camera. It says I can't start the cameras. I can't start my video.
You should have the ability now.
And can I share my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Very quickly, I'll try and do this in 5 minutes because we're just that good. Thank you guys for having us tonight. But we're College Bound. We've been around for over 30 years. We work with public school students locally to make sure they finish high school and college. We graduate 100% of our students from high school. We have a 100% college acceptance rate. Our theme for this year was undeterred. was undeterred. These are two of our students. The student on the left will be at the Tisch School in New York studying acting next year. Student on the right will be Elizabeth City State studying aviation. She will be at Virginia Union. The student on the right, Camille, will be at North Carolina ANC studying engineering. And Robert will be at the University of Rochester. So we have the proof. We graduate kids from college over 70%, which is far greater than the DC numbers, which are less than 20%. These are just some of the activities that we do. I'll just run through those. We do career nights, career categories, law, medicine, international affairs, engineering, education, career exploration. In a partnership with Deloitte, we do University Bound with the University Club. There's actually an event tonight with the University Club. And then we do monthly seminars. We work with Walker Jones, which is in our neighborhood over off of New York Avenue. We're also trying to recruit across the city, especially first-generation college and first-generation American students. We did a wonderful spring college tour. I'll talk about that more later and show you some of the pictures. We took our seniors over to the Supreme Court because Justice Sotomayor is ethical. She does not come to our end of the year celebration because we try to do a fundraiser. So we're bringing our seniors to the Supreme Court there. End of the year celebration was on May 15th. We awarded over $200,000 in scholarships. We will be with Deloitte for in a couple of weeks at several schools around the city for Impact Day. Spring College Tour, we stayed in Philly. We went to Rutgers Camden, and these are some of the pictures there. And then we went to Villanova, which was absolutely amazing. Lots of money there at Villanova for students. NYU, which is really great on our tour up in New York. We left NYU, we went to Columbia, got to Columbia right before the protest started. We also did the Parsons New School of Design, which was a great tour for our students as well. We have some students who are interested in the arts. We have Javier, who's at John Jay College in New York. He was able to give a really riveting spill to the students about the impact of College Bound and the difference that it's made in his life. And of course, as I said, we went to Columbia. Back in Philly, we went to Swarthmore College, which has more money than they know what to do with it. They only have 1,700 students, so some really great opportunities there. Full scholarships for students from DC. They leave with no debt. So that was a really great idea. Temple, we have probably 5 or 6 students who go to Temple every year. Mirrors Washington, D.C. a lot. The tour at Temple was really amazing. We also did a session with our students who are at Temple, so that's what you see right here in that picture. Some amazing students there. And then on the last day, we stopped at Lincoln University, the oldest HBCU in the country. And then we stopped at Delaware State, which also has a really great aviation program as well. And these are some of our students who are at Delaware State. These are some of our interns who are here from the UC system. One is from UC Davis, one is from UC Irvine. We also have a student who's from UC San Diego. Then, of course, we went to the Nats baseball game. Actually, I'm sorry, that was a Phillies baseball game with our students while we're in Philly. And these are, of course, pictures from Times Square. Our end of the year theme was around undeterred. And I just shared that with you. That was last week. You guys missed that. And then, of course, this is our Supreme Court visit with Justice Sotomayor. Reverend Gwen Moore, Representative Gwen Moore was our keynote speaker. We awarded Nancy Bryant, Jerry Taylor. They've given the organization over $2 million. And then, of course, we recognize Kelly Robinson from HRC for the work that she's doing locally and nationally and stuff like that with our award. And then these are our numbers right there if you ever want to donate. And then, of course, this is Jordan Middleton, who's at my alma mater, the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. She just pledged Delta. I pledged Kappa there. I was the first. She was the first. And so it's just really amazing. I went down for that. The young lady standing right behind her is in a doctoral program. She graduated from College Bound as well. And that's her mother standing to the left of your screen, Ms. Grant, who's actually at Delta as well. So it was a really great event. This is the information right here, collegebound.org. We need mentors. DC has 63% of the people in DC have at least a college degree. 63% of the people in DC have at least a bachelor's degree. We need mentors for the upcoming school year. If you know students in 8th and 9th grade this fall who are first generation American, first generation college, we're trying to recruit those students as well. That's my spill. That's all I have to say. You can reach me at Kenneth at College Bound. I'd love to talk to you more about this program. I taught school in DC for 15 years. So I've seen my fair share of students who have the capacity to go to college. They don't have the support. College Bound is giving those students the support. So not only do they go to college, but they graduate college, as I said, over a 70% graduation rate. I can stop right now for some questions, or I can keep talking, but I think you want to get out of here, so I'll stop talking.
No, I think questions would be great. But I think my first question for you is if anyone does want a mentor, is the best next step to send you an email, or is there a form online to fill out? What are the next steps?
Thank you so much for that question. It's all online. So if you go to our website, collegebound.org, you can get the application there to mentor. There's 2 different types of mentoring that you can do. You can mentor 1 night a week for 2 hours at one of our 7 locations that are located around the city. Or you can mentor in the virtual mentoring program as we support our kids to college degree completion, and you're touching bases with students virtually. I think that the greatest joy and the greatest need, though, is obviously in the face-to-face mentoring 1 night a week for 2 hours. And again, there's 7 locations. On Monday nights, we're at the Department of Education. We're also at Sherwood Rec Center. On Wednesday nights, we're at Beacon House in the Edgewood community. And we're also at Shaw Library in a partnership with DC Libraries. And on Thursday night, we have 3 sites. We're at Union Wesley Church, Walker Memorial Church, and MLK Library.
Amazing. Are there any deadlines anyone should be aware of, or is this a rolling program?
So it's a rolling program. The program does start the last week or the 3rd week in September. So if you'd like to mentor this fall, we'd like for you to apply obviously before September. We can do the background check. We can do training as well and get you oriented and get you matched with one of our students. Again, we serve 8th through 12th graders who come from public schools around the city. We're serving over 50 different public schools. So there's a great mix of students. And I think that College Bound is very much like your meeting tonight. There's this diversity that represents the best of America. And we come together for the common goal of students they will go to college and they will complete college. And so we unite around that. So it's really magical what happens with the organization.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone else have any other questions? All right. Thank you so much for presenting on that wonderful program.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. I had on our agenda a presentation from the K. Rusaw Foundation. I'm not saying Khalil online. But I'll give him a minute. Let's go ahead and turn to committee updates. Now we got our ACL committee update, so I'll turn to community engagement. Anything to update there?
There is no community engagement.
Great. Public safety and health. Any updates there?
Mr. Aaron Price said he couldn't make it and submitted a written report.
Okay. Anything relevant to share from the?
Well, related to community engagement, they have a community engagement plan. I think they've circulated it 2 months in a row now and gotten no comments. And so they're thinking maybe that means they're supposed to move forward with it. So
Sure.
if you have not looked at it, look at it and offer them comments.
Great. I have looked at it. It's very robust program. It is a very robust outreach. I do have 1 or 2 comments, but generally I think it's really great what they're doing. Great. So that's a reminder for all of us commissioners to take a look. TAPS?
Yes, we did not have quorum this month due to everyone having vacation travel, myself included, but there was some general discussion about transportation-related needs this month. Next, I think in our June meeting, we will regroup and I think have a more substantive report, but no one had brought anything to the committee, so we more discuss other things.
Okay, amazing. Zoning and development, I don't see Mr. Stone, but any commissioner have an update on that front? None? Okay, great. Task force on outreach, anything in report?
We are going to be working with OANC after this meeting, as in like chronologically after, not immediately after, to work on getting our Zoom account moved into the Octo, the DC-owned fold. That should hopefully result in the reimbursement of Zoom fees to the ANC, and then from there we can see about what we grant our committees in terms of meeting infrastructure. I don't know how that will go. It might be an eventful next few weeks before our meeting, but we'll figure it out.
Okay, amazing. I think library task force, we had a robust presentation last week, but I'm not aware of any other updates. Any other commissioner? Great, amazing. That was really
actually.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Galvin, there you go.
So sorry, I got an email yesterday from Cheryl. She's from Link Strategic Partners, Director of Engagement. I'd reached out to Martha Sarcaccio. I'm sure I butchered her name there, but basically asking for some engagement starting. And Link is basically partnering with DCEL around engagement for the Edgewood Eckington Library, and would appreciate assistance with outreach to other ANCs, residents, faith leaders, schools, and other community leaders. So she asked for a call. So what I think I'd like to do is schedule that call with the library task force. I know we need to do that a week in advance, but I think I'll forward it to them, and then we'll rally around a time period so that we can have that discussion with them.
Okay, so the next action is that the consultants at the DC Public Library DC Public Library system is engaging with will set up a call with our committee and then do broader community outreach. Is that right?
Yep.
Great, excellent. So just another call if you would like to be engaged on any of these issues that we've talked about in more depth. The committee information to join committees is on our website, or feel free to reach out to your commissioner who can connect you to the committees as well. Amazing. We've reached the end. Appointments to committees or task force. Commissioner Sani.
Yes, I would like to nominate Ed Garnett, 5F02 resident and former 5E01 ANC commissioner, to the library task force.
Great. Any objections? With none noted, the nomination passes. Congratulations, Ed. I know we did announcements earlier. Any other words from any commissioners before we adjourn? Great. Is there a motion on the table?
I move to adjourn.
I second that emotion. Any objections? Great, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining our main meeting. Our next meeting, as discussed previously, is June 17th.
June 17th.
Yes,
Same time.
Same time, same place, in June, and then also available virtually as well.
June 17th.
June 17th.
I thank y'all.
Excellent. Thank
for
you so
everything.
much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a wonderful